Kim at Foggy Bonnet. I did a project last night on my Facebook Live and I had a few technical issues both before the live and afterwards. So I'm going to re-record the project today, post it to YouTube, and post a link on my Facebook page. But the project is really cute. It's a pair of cards made from a single simple to make background. So I'm going to switch my camera now and show you these. These are the cards. They're in pairs. So what we're going to do tonight is make the background and then cut out three flowers, three striped flowers, aren't they cute? And use those die cuts on a separate card and then fill in the negative space that we left in our background with plain white flowers. And these are stitched flowers from the In Bloom bundle. And here's another color combination. I'm actually going to make this one for my demonstration right now. The first thing you want to do obviously is choose your colors, and I'm just going to tell you what I used for each of these. For this one I used Highland Heather, Rococo Rose, Calypso Coral, Dark Daffodil Delight, Just Jade, and Shaded Spruce. So they're all the light Stampin' Blends alcohol markers except for the Daffodil Delight, and that one I used the dark. And then for this one, the one I'm going to make right now, I chose Misty Moonlight, Dark Balmy Blue, Just Jade, Dark Daffodil Delight, and Mossy Meadow. So the only two that are dark are the Balmy Blue and the Daffodil Delight on this one. The other ones are light. For these cards, I'm using the basic white note cards and envelopes from Stampin' Up. These come in packs of 20, and this is a great convenience item. A lot of times we make our own card bases, but sometimes when we're in a hurry, which it can be quite often, these are super handy to reach for. The pack of 20 is just $7, and they come with envelopes, so that's like 35 cents each. And I like the size. They're a little bit smaller than the A2 cards, but still a nice size card to send a quick happy birthday or thinking of you card to someone. So I want to show you just something real quick about folding these. When we make our own card bases, at least I do, I score mine on my paper trimmer, and it makes a nice deep score line. These cards, these note cards, are scored for you, but the score line is not very deep. So I'm going to turn my lights up a little bit here. So I found that when I was folding these, I wanted to be careful, and I looked for the indentation. I don't know if you can see it on camera, and I put it on the outside of the card, and then I just brought a corner over to meet up and kind of let the card start folding itself along that embossing that's in the middle there. And then I just use my bone folder in the middle. Whoops, don't have my corner lined up. There we go. I just start in the middle and just rub out to the edges, and that gives me a nice even crease. Just something to be aware of. Be careful when you're folding and burnishing these cards. So the first thing we're going to start with are two 2.5 by 5-inch strips of basic white cardstock. And for one, we're going to just edge the sides, the long sides, with one of our Stampin' Blend alcohol markers. So what we're doing is we're making this piece right here. And I'm going to use the light Misty Moonlight to edge mine, and I like to use the brush end, which has the thicker line. This end is kind of a blunt tip, and the other end with the thicker line here is the brush tip. And I'm just going to lay that on the edge of the cardstock. And I like to start in the middle here and just work my way out. And I want this to be kind of squiggly. I want it to look whimsical. I don't want it to be perfectly straight. So I'm just coming out, edging this, working out to the edge or to the end, just like that. Then I flip it around and do the other side. So you can see I am not the least bit concerned about keeping this perfectly straight. I want it to be whimsical and a little bit crooked. It almost looks like torn paper when you allow it to be a little crooked. So there's that. Now for the next piece, I'm going to bring in some backing here. We're going to draw stripes on the second piece. And I'll put this one on top so you can see. So the stripes are also made with the brush end of the Stampin' Blends. And let's see, do this in the same order. So I started with, you can go in any order, but I started with the Balmy Blue, and I just lay that brush flat on my cardstock and just like that, draw a stripe across. So next I'm going to use the Misty Moonlight. And you can do this two ways. You can leave a little white gap between your stripes or put the stripes right up against each other. I've done it both ways. I think they're both pretty. On this sample, I did not leave the white spaces, and on this one I did, and I like either way, it's fine. So for this demonstration or for this part, I'm going to leave a little space. Just like that. And again, you don't care if these are crooked at all. You want them to be crooked. And then next, let's see, nope, I used Just Jade next. And the widths can be different. They don't all have to be exactly the same size. Then I use the Daffodil Delight. This is the dark Daffodil Delight. Like that. And then this is the Mossy Meadow, the light Mossy Meadow. And then I would just start repeating my colors until I had filled up the entire piece. And I have one already done here to show you. I would just keep going, repeating my stripes all the way to the top. Then what I would do is I would die cut my flowers, and I don't think I told you what I'm using. So for these cards, I'm using the Oval Occasions stamp set for the sentiment, the happy birthday, because this coordinates with the Oval Punch, which I'm going to use. And then for these flowers, I'm using the Stitched Blooms dies from the In Bloom bundle. Love this bundle. There's so much you can do with it. So I want to just show you real quick the flowers, the dies that I'm using. Whoops, oh, here they are. So I'm using a large, let's see, 6-petal flower. I'm using the smaller 5-petal flower that's shaped like this. And I'm using another 5-petal flower that has more of this shape to it. And I'm placing these strategically. That sounds serious, but no, I'm putting the small flower closer to the big one at the top. This will be the top of my card. So I'm placing these so they almost look related on this strip. And then this one is more isolated. There's a little bit more of a gap between this one and this one. And what that does is it allows room for the sentiment to kind of balance everything out. This nice big flower up here, bundled or grouped with this smaller one, gets balanced by this medium size flower and the sentiment. So there is a method to the madness here for how I laid these out. So I just run this through the die cutting machine, and I've already done that. So I end up with this, with the windows in it. And you can see that this particular background, I did not leave the white stripes between. That's okay. Either way, it looks nice. And then what I have are these flowers that I cut out. Should just dump everything out here. I have these flowers that I cut out from this background. So what I want to do next then is cut cut some of these smaller flowers from a piece of scrap cardstock. And for that, for the smaller flowers, I used this triple flower die from the same set. And I chose this one because it cuts 3 at a time, and I need 6. So I did this twice. I just scribbled some Dark Daffodil Delight on a scrap piece of cardstock. I'm going to get my backing here. I just scribbled some of this on in 2 areas, just like that. And then I cut with this die twice. I just sent it through once and then moved the die and set it through again. So I got 6 of these tiny flowers, which I'm going to use as centers for my big flowers. And also I cut 1 set of white flowers from a scrap of basic white. Just 3 of the same flowers from a scrap of basic white. So what I have are 3 striped flowers, 3 white flowers cut with the same dies, and 6 of these tiny flowers that were colored with the Dark Daffodil Delight. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put the centers in my flowers, and I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive. All right, so I'm just going to put a dot in the center and kind of spread it out a little bit. Pick up one of these flowers and just put it in the middle. And repeat that for all of my flowers. On my other color sample, I used, I believe I used the Highland Heather to color my small flowers before I cut them out. So all of my flowers now have centers, so I can start assembling the cards. So what I want to do is I want to adhere my die cut striped piece to a card front, and I'm going to place it so that it's about 1/8 of an inch from the fold, and I want the big flower at the top, and I'm going to use multi-purpose liquid glue for this also, and I'm going to kind of keep it thin so I don't warp my paper anywhere, but I want to kind of come up in between the petals a little bit so everything stays nicely flat on the paper, on the card front. There we go. And then because you're using liquid glue, you can move it around a little bit if it's not quite lined up. You have a second to do that. And then I'm going to adhere the edged strip to the other card front. Same thing, I'm going to put it about 1/4 of an inch from the crease of the fold here. And on this one I don't have anything cut out, so I can basically go around the edges, but I want to keep it the glue thin even on this. There we go. So now I'm ready to put the flowers on, and we'll start with this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the white stitched flowers in these negative spaces. So I've learned from experience that these flowers don't fit just any old way. Some of the petals are bigger than other ones, so you really need to kind of figure out how they should be oriented first before you apply glue. So what I do is it's like putting together a puzzle. I just put them in the spot. This one is kind of easy because it has a shorter set of petals that's pretty easy to see. Of course, as soon as I say that, it's not working. There we go. So that one goes there. And then this one's a little tricky because it looks like they're all exactly the same, but they're not. One of these is a little bit smaller. There we go. So once I have figured out which way, get these out of the way. Once I've figured out which way they should be oriented in the negative space, then I will glue them down. I want to make sure I actually have them. See, that one looked correct, but I don't think it is. That's correct. Okay, so what I do after I have them oriented is I put glue in the negative space. So I just lift this out, take it aside, and then just put glue. And again, I'm moving my glue quickly, keeping it thin everywhere. And I'm just holding those petals down for a second to make sure they adhere to the card base. Okay, so we'll set this one aside, and while it's drying, we'll go ahead and put the striped flowers on this card base. And we're going to lay them out in the same way, with the big one at the top and then the small one a little closer to the big one, and this one separated a little bit and down here. And I like my stripes to go in different directions. You may like yours to go all the same direction, but I think it's pretty to have them going every which way. Give it a second to take hold. Okay, so now all I need to do is make my my sentiments, and I'm using the Happy Birthday stamp from Oval Occasions stamp set, and I'm just using Memento Black ink for this. I'm going to stamp 2 of these, and then I'll just cut these out with the punch, the oval punch, and I'm using the smooth-sided oval for this part, for the Happy Birthday. Just centering that. And then the second one. And then I want to cut 2 of the scalloped edge ovals. And I'm using the Misty Moonlight coordinating cardstock for my scalloped ovals. And I think this is big enough to get 2 out of. We'll see how it goes. There's 1. And 2. All right. So I'm just going to adhere these together with my liquid glue. To adhere these to the card front, I'm going to use Stampin' Dimensionals just to give them a little bit of elevation. And I'm using the regular size dimensionals on these. 2 is plenty. These aren't that big. 1, 2. And when I place these on the cards, I'm going to put them down here kind of between the small flower and the medium flower, and with the right edge of the scallop almost to the right edge of the card, and that will kind of balance the card out. There we go. So there's the two cards, and I want to show you real quick. I didn't do this in the live video last night. Boy, these are springy cards. I want to show you how I decorated the envelope for these. Here's an example of what I did. It just has 3 flowers and an edged flap. So to edge the flap, I just grabbed one of the Stampin' Blends, and I'm using Balmy Blue and the brush tip to just go around this flap just like I did for this element on the card when I edged this element. Same principle. I don't care if it's perfectly straight. In fact, I don't want it to be perfectly straight. I want it to look whimsical. Just like that. And then for the flowers, what I did is I used, let me get something underneath here. I used the negative spaces that were left from cutting out those tiny flowers, and I just laid this down on my flap, and I got the dark Daffodil Delight. And for this I used the, not the brush tip, but the other tip, the blunt end one, and I just colored in all 3 of those flowers just quickly. And then to make those pop a little bit, I just took a 0.4 black liner pen. Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell these, but you could use any fine tip marker and just outline the flowers. And again, it's all about being whimsical, almost cartoonish, so you don't care if some of the Stampin' Blend ink is outside of your black outline. These are just supposed to be cute and fun. So I'm just going around each petal, just like that, and then come back in and put a few dots in the middle, just like that. And now you have a coordinating decorated envelope for your very cute cards. And that, my friends, is all there is to it. I wanted to show you another project that I did using this technique, and it's a little box of gift cards. When I say gift cards, what I mean is cards that I can put in with a gift. A lot of times when I go to Walmart or whatever and pick up a gift bag, I end up feeling like I have to buy the little gift card to go inside. And I was thinking, you know what, these would make really cute gift cards, and I made these in a rainbow of colors so that any solid color gift bag I pick up, these will match. So I made a set of 6 of these, and you can see I used the stitched triangle dies, and you can see how these pair up. This would, oops, sorry, I just hit the camera. This would make a cute gift idea. That goes with that, and then this one, I don't know if I have all these on camera, but you can see it's the same principle. I made the background, and I actually made this in one long strip, and then cut out the triangles. I cut them into pieces and then placed the triangles and cut out the triangles, and then made the coordinating card out of those die cuts. And I'm going to actually post the directions, or not post, I'm going to write up the directions for this little set for my newsletter readers next week. And if you'd like to subscribe to my newsletter, just visit foggybonnet.com, and you'll see in the side menu a place where you can sign up. But anyway, this is a cute little gift idea. The envelopes are the 3x3 envelopes that Stampin' Up! Sells. And I will also be including directions on how to make this little box as well. So cute, cute set. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again next week. Bye-bye.